guys, welcome back. In this video we are looking at Run Around by Blues Traveler. This is going to be a quick one. We've got really 4 chords to deal with here and a 2-measure pattern that's repeating throughout the entire song. But I like this for beginners who are getting the hang of their chords because you've got 4 chords that you're going to make heavy use of. You got a little glance at some sus chords, which is always going to be important and something that is fun to make use of to kind of color your chords up a little bit. Syncopation in the strumming, quick movement from one chord to the other, a really good tempo, up tempo, and some rakes that we're not going to make too big of a deal out of. They're very slight because everything's moving so quickly, but I will point that out. So let's jump right in. All right, so first let's take a quick look at our chords. Not going to spend too much time here, but just going to go through fret numbers and of course the names of the chords real quick. So we've got a G chord there, and I'm just going to go fret numbers. I'm going to call it my fret numbers from string 6 thickest to string 1 thinnest. So that is 3, 2, open, open, 3, 3. And we've got C major from string 5 down to 1, fret 3, 2, open, 1, open. A minor from string 5 to 1, open, 2, 2, 1, open. And D major from string 4 to 1, open, 2, 3, 2. Now we're actually going to get a quick look at a D sus2 chord and a D sus4 chord on this. I wouldn't overthink the sus chord situation, and in most cases when we're in open or first position, it's going to require lifting a finger up or putting one finger down and not really changing much shape-wise as far as what you already have on the guitar. So for a D, to change a D chord to a D sus2, you just lift your middle finger off of string 1 and play it open. And for a D sus4, you're just going to put your pinky on string 1 fret 3, so you don't need your middle finger there either. But more often than not, I have my middle finger in position there because a lot of times you'll go back and forth. But what's happening in this one is we're actually just kind of progressing from the A minor into the D, back into the G chord because it's happening so quickly, and you'll hear that little ascending line happening in the audio. So I'll show you the strum pattern just with the D chord, and then I would try to get the sus chords in place if that gives you a little bit of trouble. So we'll break it up. All right, so let's take a look at that strum pattern. So one thing that might make this strum pattern a little bit tricky for you is that it is syncopated. We have a lot of chord anticipations, but we can simplify the way that we think about that. So I'm going to do this in a very simplistic manner, playing 2 beats for each chord and changing on the downbeat, right? So basically at the heart of it, what this is G for 2 beats, C for 2 beats, A minor for 2 beats, and D for 2 beats. So we could think of that maybe as down, down, up, 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 down, down, up. Now this isn't what the song sounds like, of course, but it could function in a pinch if you wanted to simplify it and kind of take the syncopation out of it. But the main reason I'm showing you this is a good way to practice it, because when beginners are starting, the whole coming in on an upstrum thing tends to throw people off. So, but if you speed this up, and if you get a little bit more activity at the end there, as we hear in the main strum pattern. So you're starting to kind of hear the song. So I'm going to break this down without really dealing with beat counts or anything and just kind of demonstrating what we're doing with each chord. G, you're going to strum down once. That's it. On the C chord, up, down, up. On the A minor minor chord, same thing, up, down, up. And on the D chord, we're going to go up, up, down, up. Again, that is G down, C up, down, up, A minor up, down, up, and D up, up, down, up. So even if we're not really thinking with a consistent beat here, it kind of starts to sound like the song. Consistent beat there, but kind of hard to not do that. So that would be the next step from, if you want to use that first version where I was just doing down, down, up on each chord, this would be the next step. Maybe spending a little time here working on chord transitions if that's giving you some trouble. So a little bit faster on that. So that, standing alone as it is, works for the song. That sounds great. You could totally use that. We've got a couple of little things that we're going to throw in here. So on the D chord, if you want to play the little, you'll hear this little ascending line when it gets to the D chord. So we're going to go from the A minor. Instead of going into a full D chord, we're going to go into that D sus2. So you're going to hear the open E there. And then up, down on the D chord. And then pinky down for the D sus4, really is just transitioning back into the G on one up strum. And then we're back into the G. So again, that was up on D sus2, up, down on D, up on D sus4, G. So in context, that sounds like this. So the other thing that we can add here is a muted rake in between each chord, or each chord change, I should say. And the reason I'm leaving that till last is because if you haven't done it before, the tendency is to make too big of a deal out of it. And what I mean by making too big of a deal out of it is changing your technique, right? Like moving your hand around and trying to get, I have to hit all 6 strings and I have to place my hand differently. You don't want any of that. You want to be moving fluidly through your chords, and your right arm should just be grooving along, right? Not losing its pace. And then you're really just looking for a little click. When I was playing at the beginning, I wasn't overthinking that, and I'm not trying to get too big of a sound either. Guitar in general is just trying to use a necessary amount of pressure, necessary amount of tension, which invariably always seems to be less than most people think is necessary. So always trying to play as lightly as possible. That's just a great thing to always focus on. So at a slow rate, it's going to sound a little weird, but we'll do it so we can hear where that's coming in. Actually, I'm going to go back and change that just to D since we're throwing the rakes in. Then I'll come back and add those in. So basically, the rake is kind of your cue to change chords, if you want to think about it that way. so forth. Put the D sus2 to D to sus4 transition back in. So I could not play that fast or keep up with that tempo if I was trying to change technique over here and overthink the whole rake thing. So this chord progression for this song makes a good case for always breaking things down into as many details and as small of components as you possibly can, which in the beginning isn't very intuitive. It's easy to just kind of look at it and go, okay, I'm going to play these chords, I'm going to play that pattern, and it's all just going to happen naturally. That is great if that happens, but if it's not happening, then you need to break it down into smaller pieces. So it's 4 chords essentially and 2 measures. That is not a lot of music at all, right? That's about as simple as it gets. But there are other things happening there that we need to consider, and these are great tools to be adding to just our general understanding and knowledge as musicians, as guitar players, right? Knowing the chords, of course we got to have that. Knowing the strum pattern, of course we got to have that. Understanding how the beat fits in, but also just having fluid movement, throwing the rakes in, being able to time the left hand and right hand together, go on and on. There's a lot happening just to make those 2 measures happen, to come together and sound the way that we want it to sound. So I would say if there is a main theme here, it's that. Just break things down into detail, and this is a good song to teach you to do that as you take on bigger projects. So have fun with it, guys. Hope you enjoy it, and let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.